No, that clock is always set.
Okay.
And we fix it, and I don't know why we're keeping it, so I'm gonna tell them to take it down.
Is that in the budget?
I don't know.
No, I said, didn't say replace it, I said take it down.
Yeah, even a broken clock is right twice a day.
No, ready?
That's right.
All right, we'll go ahead and call this workshop to order. Val, can you please call the roll?
Commissioner Penny?
Here.
Commissioner Curry?
Here.
Commissioner Daniel?
Here.
Commissioner Johnson?
Here.
Mayor Via?
Here. I'll turn it over to Joe.
Okay, so we're going to go off the printed agenda out of order a little bit. So the first thing we want to talk about is actually number 4-2, which is the Veterans Memorial. We talked about this a little bit during the budget work session. We have this fountain that's out front made out of coquina. It's a breeding ground for algae, mold,
Yes.
bacteria, rocks, everything but what it's supposed to be used for. And we spend many, many hours of Dennis's time maintaining it. And it's just, my personal opinion, it doesn't look very nice. I don't know what anybody else's opinion of it is, but it's a maintenance nightmare. So we thought that maybe it would make a good location for a Veterans Memorial. Right now we're using the area by the rail car as for all of our Memorial Day and Veterans Day ceremonies. And in Palm Coast, they've got an area, I'll just show you from the elevation up here. This is what they call Heroes Memorial. And the reason why I pointed out is because it is in a circle, very much similar to what we have. The difference with this is they call it a Heroes Memorial, and it's there. They have 3 monuments that represent the fire, police, and military. Those who were, I knew that was going to happen. Those who were
In action.
died in action, right? So I want to throw this out there as an option for you to take a look at and see if it's something that you like. And one of the challenges that they have is they don't have any parking. I should say they have very little parking. They have a couple of spaces there and 4 spaces here. So this is what, and again, this is an example. You don't have to use it, but this is what their park looks like. It's got the American flag, the state flag, the city flag, and on the other side you can't see is the POW flag. And then these are the 3 monuments that they have, 1, 2, and the other one's over here that you can't see. So now I'm going to go to their design, and in our situation, this is their entire area. It's landscaping, it's everything. All we really need is the engineering and design for this circular area that's made up of concrete and brick pavers, where we can relocate the existing brick pavers that were put out there by some young Eagle Scout.
Woo!
No names.
Get them level this time.
Get them level this time.
And here's an example
Stop drinking
of
so
this is what their monuments look like. They're the black, and they look like this. They're on an angle, and they, I don't know how many names. These are not real names that are on here. So for our purpose, if we want to move in this direction, there's a couple ways we can go about it. We can just do a design build based on this type of a scope, or we can go out and have it engineered and then put it out for bid and do design bid build. I was looking today, and we have a monument already over there, and I didn't get a chance to look and see what's on there. And I don't know if we can just bring that monument over and do something like that half wall that you saw, and then bring that monument over with flags in the middle and call it a day. It doesn't have to be anything overwhelming. So I want to get your ideas and thoughts and see how you'd like for us to proceed.
Well, I'll just kick it off. So I like the look of that. Obviously, it's very similar because of the circle. One thing we need to keep in mind, too, is that I see this as a future home for all of the events. Excuse me, sorry. All of the events that are held for Memorial Day, for Veterans Day. And I see it more as a Veterans Memorial. Because we don't have any that I know of, any police officers or firefighters that have died on duty for us. Yeah, knock on wood, thank God. So, I want to see if that's what you guys were thinking. And
Yeah, I'm not suggesting that we do a police and fire memorial because,
You're introducing
God
a,
willing, it'll be a blank slate for a very, very long
Right.
time.
Right.
It's more, I mean, you can call it a hero's memorial, you can call it a veterans memorial. One thing that I thought about was maybe you just have a blank granite monument there, and it says something like dedicated to those who served, and underneath it you can put the name and the branch of the military, or it might be the name and it might be a firefighter, or it might be a name, and instead of having separate ones, you just have one larger monument with something that's, you know, dedicated to those who.
Well, my original idea was where it kind of spurred off was I was going to give a speech the first Memorial Day that I was mayor, and I started looking up people who were from Holly Hill who died in service, and I found 3 or 4, but I knew that wasn't an extensive list, so I didn't want to use those names and leave out others.
How far back did that go?
That was mostly in
Civil War?
Vietnam.
Vietnam.
There was, I think, 3 in Vietnam. There was, since then, we found 1 in World War II. And so the post-120, there's quite a few people that are looking into this, going to help pull up all the names, make sure we get all the names. But the idea was to put their name in granite to forever, you know, thank them for their ultimate sacrifice. So I definitely want to see at least their names put into the granite, and any of their living relatives. When we unveil this, we should have them there, you know, as honored guests, and honor them for their sacrifice as a family. So, you know, but aesthetically, I think it would be more expedient to take something that's kind of already been done and replicate it and tweak it a little bit instead of reinventing the wheel, completely having to engineer this thing, and it's going to take a lot of extra time and probably money. So, but that's why we're having a workshop. Throw out any ideas.
No, I like the veterans idea. I like one piece of granite, but I don't want to lose. Like, if you see the pavers, like, I don't know what that is. It's concrete and pavers,
Right.
But all those pavers in there. I know when Jarrett did his Eagle Scout project, the intent with those pavers out there was to honor significant people in our community forever. And so I don't remember. John Capers is out there, right?
Yeah.
was it the community did that, or was it just in the city?
It was whoever the city commission decided. What had happened was someone, I think it was Ray Beltrami, passed away, and the city was asked to name the street after him. And then someone else passed away, and we were asked to name a park after them. And it was like, oh my gosh, we don't have enough stuff to name after. All these people are dying. We don't have enough stuff to name them after. And then, you know, when you name a park after someone, and 50 years later, no one knows who the heck they were. So it was decided that let's put them out there forever in front of City Hall, and that way the city can honor them. So I'd like to make sure that we can incorporate that and put that in there. But I'm like you, Mr. Mayor. I like the wall. So whatever we name this circle, you know, if we put it on the front so that it can be seen, and I think it'd be a spectacular place for the VFW to do their ceremony.
So the wall would face Ridgewood, or the wall would face
Well,
city?
I mean,
question.
Or
that's
City
going to
Hall?
be, you know, it's a arc of a wall, so you could either have the arc at, let's say, closest to the building facing out, but then you have the monument back facing, or you can turn it the other way and have the arc on the Ridgewood side and the monument on the building side, and you can still write on the wall on either or both sides.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, the wall is not a tremendous wall, it's only going to be a 3-foot wall. Maybe
The monument would be how tall, give or take?
Well, the one that's out there already is probably stands about 6 feet in the
Yeah.
air, and
So you'd probably get the best value per se if you had a monument facing Ridgewood? Because then you'd see the wall and the monument from the street?
It would make sense both ways. And then if you think about it too from, think about it from an aesthetic purpose of having events there, and then if people are standing there, you have all your people there, then people are taking pictures, then City Hall's in the background, So everybody would be facing City Hall and the wall.
I was gonna say,
So
it
maybe
would
the other
go
way.
better
Or the
up
opposite
city
way.
line, up the City Hall lawn, seeing the wall and the monument.
So wait,
Home Coast,
facing-
the half wall faces the road.
I think it should face the road. And I think it should be made out of coquina. I think it should be concrete block faced with coquina.
Nasty ugly coquina you want?
Everything is coquina around here. This whole building's coquina.
Yeah.
You know, the sign is coquina.
It could be that artificial looking coquina. Make
That's
it
right.
No, just like what they did over at the chamber when they skinned down at the market. When they redid the market, they skinned it with coquina. They just make it this thick.
It's not real coquina rock.
No, it's real
coquina
It's
sand.
real
that's put
coquina
on.
rock, and they skin it. They cut it into planks about this thick, and they use it like bricks. But I don't know. Just you look at that and you go, wow, that's cool. Let's build that. And then all of a sudden, you put red brick out in front of City Hall, and it just stands out like
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good point.
doesn't.
Good point.
I think the idea of a heroes wall would, I don't want to open up the door, obviously, for law enforcement or fire to have a line of duty death, but I also don't want to leave them out if one of our heroes does happen to die. Then what do we do? Then we're sitting back here going, oh, geez, we should have, or the next commission might say, well, geez, we should have thought of that, because now we need to honor our local hero, and we have no way to do that. So leaving it as a heroes wall, I think, is a much better choice.
That's what you said, right?
We could name it Heroes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
We could name it Heroes Wall, but it's for all intents and purposes, it's a veterans wall right now.
Right.
Mhm.
But I appreciate the comment by Mr. Forte bringing that up, because that's a good idea. You don't need 3 separate walls. They're all heroes.
You could have a single nice monument. I mean, you could even have one monument, like I said, you have one slogan at the top, dedicated to all who served or who've given their all, and then put the name and the branch of service, maybe have 2 or 3 columns established for that for the future. Or you can, within one monument, you could have the different branches, but I think that's going to be more difficult to do and to fill and to.
I think you just keep it generic as possible.
Just a dedicated to all who serve.
Right.
But the criteria should be, like you said, it should be your military
Right.
branches, and then if you want to extend that to police and fire. But I'd have a policy that not in the future, another employee dies and you decide, well, we're going to put
Right.
that person's name on the wall.
Well, they can go on brick.
That's what the pavers are for.
Yeah.
I
Pavers,
think
yeah.
you should have a written policy,
Right.
so that, right now you're talking like
Bill
this,
Arthur
but
goes
when
on
the
the
time
brick.
comes, when the time comes, all of a sudden it becomes
You
an
get hit with
emotional
a brick.
decision, and you don't want it to be an emotional decision. So
Right.
put the policy in place prior to.
Right. You're good at that.
So if you want, we can proceed with this. This has the architect is on here. Sabungi is the contractor who built it. We can start to reach out to them and see what the cost estimates are for them to, go ahead and modify this for
Is there
our.
anything-
Before we move on, though, the other idea that we had briefly talked about, that we should talk about, bring that picture back up. Yeah. Keep going. So, do we want to put all of the branches of the military flags around the whole circle, or do we want to just do one American flag in the middle, or do we want to put up on the curved wall maybe the American flag and then, our city flag and I don't know.
State flag.
Oh, and state flag.
I think if you keep it simple like Palm Coast did, and then on special events, make sure that we have purchased a flag from each branch of the service, and it could be on a simple PVC
Oh,
pipe.
put them
We-
out.
And
we
put
have
them, put them out around the circle during the
Temporary.
events.
Yeah.
Because if you leave them out, I think it'd be great if we had them, but then you think flagpoles are at least $2,000 a piece to
Are
put
they?
up. And then you have the maintenance of those
Yeah, they're not
flags.
cheap.
You gotta buy a flag every
Can't-
6 months.
Can't you just have the post
Every
holes
time.
in the wall and leave them empty?
That's what I'm talking
Oh, you're
about.
talking about in the wall?
The flags?
Somewhere.
I don't know if I'd put them in the wall.
You could just stick a piece of PVC and jam it in
When
Grass.
you're talking about 2 events a year, Labor Day, Memorial Day. You
Right.
could take PVC, like, fishing,
Yeah.
stick them in the ground and set your flags in there for the event, for the ceremony, and then take them down after.
Yeah, because the poor Boy Scouts are always having one heck of a
I
time
know.
to win. And those
Yeah,
flags.
yeah, they are.
So
I
is
feel
there-
so bad
is
for
there a
some of
flag
those
on
kids
the-
are like this
The
tall.
wall itself, like an American flag?
Where?
in the middle. Turn around.
Palm Coast?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
they
gotcha.
have,
Oh,
they,
yeah.
3.
Yeah,
They
is that
have
their
the,
city flag?
Well,
below
City
it?
flag.
There's
state
a POW
American
flag to the
and
left.
POW flag.
Oh,
See?
POW
Oh, I
flag,
didn't
so
see
you
that.
can hardly see it.
Yeah.
And maybe,
Yeah, more
maybe on
money.
top of the POW flag, you fly a flag that has all the branches of the service on it. If you wanted to do that, you're
You
right.
gotta find out
One.
what the etiquette is.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different branches of service now.
Yeah.
You gotta
Yeah,
take
there's
your
6
celebration.
now.
Yeah.
And when I was in the military for almost 7 years, and I don't even remember seeing a United States Air Force flag the whole time I was in there.
What?
All the thing we ever worked under was the American flag.
Wow.
Wow.
Nobody in the military ever goes for their flag. They don't. If you get shot down, you don't care who's coming to rescue, the army, the
Oh, I
Navy.
see what you're saying.
Right.
It's all
Instead of
part the same
separating it
group.
out by branch. I
That's
see
the
what
way
you're
everybody
saying.
looks at it in the military.
Fly the American
They
flag.
go by the American
There you
flag.
go. We have
Yeah.
a veteran.
Yeah.
We have
We
a
have
couple
to.
here.
We have to bow to your
I
knowledge.
really don't remember ever seeing an Air Force flag the whole time I was in there.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
So I think then the next step would be to talk to this engineer and kind of give him some of our ideas, and then you can get back with
So
us.
Joe,
on-
can you go straight to Sabunji and say, hey, I got this set of plans. What did these guys pay for that?
I
And,
could ask them to see if they can do a design build.
Right.
I mean, they know what it takes to do it. And
Right. The only other thing that I would add to this, because if you're gonna redo this, the footprint of where that, of where the pond is, I would extend whatever the design of concrete and pavers is around that, I would extend it the entire walkway from the street all the way up to the drive circle. You don't want that crummy old concrete being there
Yeah.
and around.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I would say it should incorporate the circle and the full length of the sidewalk leading up to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
All right?
Good.
Good.
All right. We knocked
All right.
that one out pretty quick.
Okay. The
It's
next
a new
one.
year.
The next one is our wellness initiatives.
Oh.
And what we talked about during the budget process was changing our plans. Right now, we have 3 plans. We have the high deductible plan, we have the T32, which is the higher end plan, and we have the T26, which is I consider it to be equal to the high deductible plan based on the values of it. So I've met with Florida Healthcare, I met with Brown & Brown to talk about these options. And one of the things we talked about was going completely over to the HSA. And finish hearing me out before you go anywhere else. So what I've got in the agenda is an example of what would be required for people to get their money. So what we do currently is the difference between the T26 and the high deductible plan, we give that back to the employee as seed money into their high deductible savings account.
$1,800, isn't it?
$1,800.
Yeah.
And if they complete certain tasks, they are entitled to, they get a day off. So what I want to do is change it where you'll get, I don't know if it's on this one, you'll get a flat,
It's an additional 500 after you just.
Yeah, I think it was 500.
okay,
It's on the first page.
you'll get a flat 1,300, we're going to round it up to 1,395, and then you're going to have to do certain things to earn the other 500. So for example, the 1,395, you've got to go to your primary care physician and get a physical and a complete blood count, complete blood workup, and you have to do the online health assessment. You do that and you get the 1,395. Then, and this isn't updated, we'll have things that if you do certain things, you can earn up to $500 more. So we had set it up so that you would earn, in this category, you would earn 2 points. The reason this particular category is not going to work now is because this information technically violates HIPAA. It's in an email, it's not in here. So now if we change the categories to say, if you select 2 of these other additional things like colonoscopy, sigmoidoscopy, mammogram, pap smear, prostate exam, skin cancer, bone material, vision, dental, flu vaccine, you get any of those 2, you get another $200. If you go to the next section and you can pick one of these, which is an online health coaching program, attend a certain number of what we're calling punch clock conversations where representative from Florida Healthcare is going to come and have kind of a talk at the punch clock for employees to learn things, complete a wellness action plan, attend a Florida Healthcare membership education program. So you can get 1 point by selecting one of those. Another area is lifestyle habits, and that is you would select 2 of those, and it's participating in a run, walk, or a race. That's a formal one. Visit the gym at least 12 times in a 3-month period. You have to sign a tobacco use, it should say non-use form, and achieve a personal health goal by working with a health coach. So these are things that are incentives that would get people to strive to make themselves healthier and help to lower our costs. So I did get with Brown and Brown to determine if I moved the entire organization over to the high deductible plan, what would it actually cost the city? It's actually $3,000 more when you take into account the premiums and the incentive monies that go in.
But you're assuming everyone earns the incentive.
That's assuming everyone earns the incentive. That does not include a premium reduction that we should get if we go to this plan by Florida Healthcare. The other thing I wanted to throw out there is to continue with the T32 plan, which is the higher plan, and employees who want that plan will have to buy up into it. It'll be somewhat of a disincentive because it's more expensive to get that, and you get certain benefits to it, but it also costs you more in premiums.
The people who really, really would need it.
Or want it.
Right.
Some people don't need it but want it, and so for whatever reason, we would eliminate the middle plan and push people to the high deductible plan, and then those that want to hang on to the other one, at least as we start to transition this over, we would allow that plan for maybe another year or 2, and then start to push everybody to the high deductible plan. These categories are fairly easy for everyone to achieve. I talked to Diane, and we had a couple of things that are a little bit more difficult, but we decided since we're transitioning this, we don't want to make the bar too high for somebody to get over. So for the first year or 2, make it kind of easy. Then you start to bring in a little bit more of the challenging things to earn the incentive. And
I have
maybe not.
a quick question.
Or maybe not.
If it's gonna cost us 300,000 more, why?
Three.
Oh, 3,000, okay. Woo, I guess I heard wrong then. I'm sitting here going, why are we even hearing about this? Okay, I've got you.
300?
No, you said 3.
Okay.
She heard 300.
I heard
And
300.
you said 3.
We're back to that first question. Why are you here?
Why am I here?
Spending too much time in an elevator.
So, questions, comments,
Yeah.
concerns?
Yeah, question. So, if you scroll up a little bit, it talked about weight loss and all that.
Can't use
That's
that.
HIPAA, right? Yeah, because that's a little bit too much. I would
Can't use
think
that.
off
I
of
can't
that.
use anything that has actual measures.
Okay.
I
Right.
can't use your cholesterol. I can't use your weight. I can't use your
Blood
BMI.
pressure, right.
But you could attend a diabetes prevention seminar and earn a point.
And earn a point,
Yeah.
Right,
which anybody can
Whether
do.
you're diabetic,
right.
Yeah.
you can attend on behalf of a family member.
I'm
And
getting
what
ready
is,
to
how many
attend.
points you have to get the?
5.
One.
Out of all these categories, you earn up to 5 more points to get $500 for a total of $1,800, which is what we're putting in now.
So now explain to me, what are the savings to the city?
There are
Right,
things.
right now-
3,000 more.
Right now, it would cost us $3,000 more if I pushed all the employees to the HSA, and they all earn the maximum incentive of $1,800. That doesn't take into account that Florida Healthcare
You're gonna
should
reduce
be
your
giving
premium.
us a better premium because of this type of plan. Because what happens with this plan, I don't know if you are all on the HSA or not, but typically you get hurt, you don't feel well, you either got to go to the emergency room or you got to go to your primary care physician. If you go to your emergency room, it costs the plan close to $1,000 for your visit,
Right.
plus whatever you pay out
You
of
go to the
pocket.
workworkforce wellness for $5.
You go to the
Right.
doctor's
Yeah,
office, it's going to cost you
exactly.
$100. It costs the city $100. So you go to workforce wellness for $5.
Right.
So if we drive people to that habit,
You save
Then our
premium.
you save money.
premium should.
Like I
You
said,
save premium right away, and then 5 years down the road, you'll even save more premium if you change the habit.
And here's the thing, if you don't use your HSA monies, that carries over year
Yeah,
after year.
$1,500
It's not
will
a
last
use it or
you.
lose it.
Yeah.
And even if you leave the organization, that stays with you and can be used for medical expenses and even to pay your premiums if you retire and have to pay premium, you can use that money.
When you can
You
also-
can roll it into an IRA too,
You can do that.
Yeah.
if you
So
want
there's-
to.
And you can put money into it tax-free.
There are a lot of benefits to it that we need to educate the employees. But the key to this is we've got to roll it out now. And I'll give you an example. I went for my dermatology appointment this past week. That counts as a point on the new sheet. That counts as a point. So we have to be able to put this in place so that people can start earning their points now in advance of the year.
Right.
So I don't want to start it in April and people go, well, I already went to the doctor. I can't go again until next April because you got to wait a
Right.
year. So we have to put it in now so that they can start to prepare to earn their points for January 2021.
So out of our roughly 100 employees, how many are on the high deductible?
I'm gonna say about,
Do you know? 30?
I'll take an eye on it.
Probably a little more than that now.
How many? What?
The more significant number are under the T95 high deductible plan. It used to be the T26, but now there's been a greater increase
It
on the
should.
T95 this past
Yeah.
enrollment year.
4 years ago when we started, there was, I think,
Hardly
6 of
anybody
us
was on it,
that were
right.
on
Oh,
it.
really?
Yeah.
So it's growing.
I'm on
The
it,
plan
yeah.
is growing.
But there's
Good or
only
bad?
30,
Joe
so that
got candy
means
going on
70
last year.
are
Yeah.
on.
If
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
healthy, that's
Yeah, I got
pretty good.
$1,500 still in the
Between
bank
the
from
other
last
two.
year.
You said high deductible is this,
HSA.
oh, it's the same.
HSA.
Yeah, I started that last year.
Yeah, I'm on that.
So,
So are there three, right now, currently there are three?
right now there are 3, and I want to absolutely eliminate the middle tier and then determine if we should eliminate the top tier or allow that to be there for the next year or two until we transition completely over to the HSA. Ormond Beach went straight to the HSA. They don't have.
How many people are on the Cadillac plan?
Not
Now, which
many,
one is
right?
Cadillac plan?
There's a handful.
But not many. Under
There's 6
10%?
people, yeah.
Okay,
But
so
which
yeah,
one is the head, which one is the Cadillac plan?
The
T32.
T32.
It's the highest one.
Okay. And what's the other one? The Buick or
The
something?
middle one.
Buick.
Well, the
That's-
state calls them, it's not a, I can tell you right now, it's not a Cadillac plan.
Right.
You know, I can
Out
tell
of
you.
our 3 it is.
Seminole County had a Cadillac plan for their medical. This is not a Cadillac plan.
So,
They had a pretty good plan.
Yes.
one
But
thing we need to
they're
make sure is
They're
that,
starting, they're
They're
switching.
switching, yeah.
Until those,
I had
some
a
of the
commissioner-
commissioner retires,
That's right.
after they get older,
I had
they
a commissioner
retire.
tell me, you have a Cadillac medical plan. I said, I have a Cadillac sitting in the driveway. If I don't ever use it, it's no good.
Yeah.
we just want to make sure that this policy applies to all of us.
Yeah.
That elected officials would be included in this too. I don't want people to think, oh,
No, we
high and
don't.
mighty, this all need,
We will only have the one or the 2 plans. You can't do anything else.
No, I'm saying the points.
Oh, yeah.
But our
yeah.
compensation is
Yeah,
totally
yeah.
different from everybody else.
Well, this isn't compensation. This is part of your medical benefit, and
I just want to make sure that we're treated at the same as everyone
Absolutely.
else.
Right, we don't
There
just
should
get
be
a
no
free
overlay.
ride. Right.
Then how do you face your employees that you know, you're
No, that's what I want to make sure that
Well,
we're not excluded from
yeah.
anything.
I think that what it comes down to more for me, it sounds like a good idea, but I want to see the savings. So I don't know how we can see that.
There are no-
before.
You won't see it till next year.
Really?
here's the thing, right? Like I said, right now the snapshot is it would cost $3,000 more. That's insignificant to the total $300,000 that the actual plan does cost, whatever number that.
So maybe that's what I heard.
Could be, who knows?
But I would venture, I would bet you won't pay out 500 to every employee.
Probably not. You're gonna get
Well,
some
you need a
employees
six.
that just
Right.
don't wanna
They won't,
participate.
right.
6 employees, you
Well,
get like 3,000.
a way to do, how is the participation where they get, what,
The
the
leave?
comp time or whatever?
Yeah.
The leave.
Not too many people use
Very
it.
little.
Really?
Very.
Man, if I ever had an opportunity
Very
to comp time at work,
Yeah.
I'd jump
During
on
your
it.
lunch
You'll
hour,
get some
too.
employees that won't take the $1,300 just because they don't wanna go to the doctor.
Wow.
So, right there, 2 employees don't do
Wow.
that, you're in the plus. But we've
Does
got.
that mean they don't take it, meaning that they don't have the insurance?
No, they'll have the insurance, they won't get the benefit
You have to go
of
for
the
your
money.
annual checkup to get the
If you don't go to the doctor this year,
Oh.
so, the,
gee, do I go for the free doctor visit?
Right. But
So if two people don't
I
want to
check my eyes,
you're
which
now
I
in
need
a
to do it
savings.
anyway.
so I guess I just want to understand that, so we're just hoping that we can get a reduction in the future. Because, I mean, if there's not a reduction right when we go into this, then why switch?
Because you're changing employee habits. What you're gonna see savings at is not going to the emergency room, you're gonna go to
What?
the clinic. Not going to
Down
your
to the-
doctor, you're gonna go
Correct
to
me if
the
I'm wrong
clinic.
though, Joe. We can put this policy in effect now, but nothing really happens until January 1st,
2021,
2021.
right.
Right.
So no one's plan is gonna change until a
This-
year from
right.
now.
Right.
But we have to establish it now so we can get the habits and give them the points.
What
Right.
you have to understand is when somebody goes to the emergency room and they have to pay $250 out of pocket, $1,000 comes out of our plan. That's what everybody's money pays.
Right.
So when, at the end of the year, when Brown and Brown comes in or Florida Healthcare comes in and they say, well, your loss ratio is 80%, that means 80% of the money we gave to Florida Healthcare and premiums was
That's
spent
the-
on medical.
medical.
If we can cut those numbers down, we will, the HSA has the best, I don't know how to say
Right.
return on investment, but it has
Right.
the best loss ratio.
Yeah, lost.
People
Our
take
loss-
care of themselves better and
They're
Go
taking
to
advantage of the
$5 instead
clinics,
of
right.
Right.
So the loss ratio for the HSA is significantly, probably at least 20 points.
Right, because they
Better.
don't run to the ER.
Right.
so it'd mean
It's a
in
cost.
2022, there'd be a most likely.
No.
2021.
I suspect that we
You
will
said-
get it. I
already?
suspect that if, see, we haven't told Florida Health.
Oh, okay, so they
Because-
haven't came to you and said.
No, I want Florida Healthcare thinking we're gonna stick to what we're gonna do. And then when they come back and they say, oh, well, your premium's gonna go up 10%, then I'm gonna go back and say,
Oh.
we wanna look at the HSA.
And also, one thing, Mr. Mayor, we're looking at a $3,000 increase. Typically, health insurance goes up every year.
Right.
So we may just be able to offset some of the additional increase next
And
year
we've
rather
had
than
a couple
seeing a
of
reduction.
flat years of our premiums. We had no,
This year was a flat year.
Yeah, we're due to go
The
up.
twice.
year before wasn't.
Because our rate was so low, or
because our loss ratio.
Loss ratio was
Because
good.
our loss
Right, you
ratio
gotta remember, they
was
came back and wanted to increase us this year, and we
Right.
argued that our loss ratio was below 70.
Right.
So, and I think that's because the more people you push the HSA, the lower that loss ratio should be. So I fully suspect that we will see a reduction, not just a zero, but a reduction
Right.
in our premium costs, which will save the city money overall. So that's where you'll see the cost.
All right. So what are you looking for here?
Just if there's any objection or concerns, then we're gonna go ahead and roll this plan out, make the employees aware, start to educate them.
We still gotta bring this back to a commission meeting, right?
No,
Oh, really?
no, you authorized an insurance plan for employees. We, over the years, have created multiple levels of that
So is this
plan.
really your decision, and you're just telling us about it?
No, you as the commission can turn around and say, "No, I want you to offer 3 plans."
Oh, okay.
But it goes back to when I first started here, we had Florida Healthcare, Blue Cross, and United,
Oh, wow.
way back then. And
I
then,
remember that.
And then they said, no, Florida Healthcare came in and said, oh no, I think it was United.
It was Humana.
Oh, Humana, I'm sorry, Humana. Humana came in and said, we want exclusive.
Right.
We want 100% of your employees and we'll give you a great rate. Well, we did that. The
And then
next year,
we
boom,
jacked it up.
Yeah.
hit us hard.
Yeah.
I remember when Florida Healthcare did that share thing. If you had
Yeah,
one
2
employee that
employees.
worked for the
Yeah.
government and another one that worked, yeah, it was
They don't
that
do that
split
anymore.
thing. Oh my
Those were great rates.
gosh,
Hmm.
those were cheap.
So
Yeah.
really, as the policymakers, I'm looking for you to either say, yeah, we agree with the direction you're going in and I'll go ahead and implement it, or if you say, no, we want to offer the multiple plans, but I can guarantee you with the multiple plans, our rates absolutely will increase. There's no question in my mind that they'll increase.
Overtime.
So then you're asking us if we wanna keep the top plan and the low plan, or just keep the low plan, the health savings account?
I wouldn't call it low plan, I would call it
The health savings, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So is your recommendation that we keep 2 now and wean off and let them know in the next 36 months, everyone is gonna go to this?
I think that the people that are on the middle plan, the T20, the T32,
26.
T26, can transition a little bit easier to the high deductible
Right.
plan. I think the people that are on the 32, the higher,
Right.
the more expensive plan. I think for whatever reason, either they have medical problems where they
Have a
want
specific
to
doctor.
keep it, they have a certain doctor,
Right.
they have a certain phobia that they want it, whatever it may be. I think it's a harder transition
Right.
for them to make.
No, I agree. So should we set in place a
I think
sunset time to
in
that?
2 years, it's going to go away.
But can we put that in the policy now that the intent is in 2 years, we will only have one plan?
Yeah, absolutely do that.
Just to establish those habits so that people can start looking for other doctors. You know, someone might have a favorite doctor.
Well, you can still use the same doctors, no matter what plan you have under Florida healthcare.
It's just a
Because they're all
different
Florida
cost.
healthcare doctors.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's just a different copay or.
The other
That's
thing-
what I do. I still use my same doctor.
Yeah, but the HMOs, you have to
She
be
goes
referred.
She doesn't go to the doctor,
Oh.
same plan.
Well, Claudia jumps out of network. She goes to Dr. Parks, who's
I
not
do too.
Florida Healthcare. She pays $100 a year for her skin check, and then if
Yeah,
she finds
they
anything,
pay
she jumps back in the
$100.
network. Cut it off because she likes him.
I do the same thing. I go to Dr. Parks.
All right, so then do you need direction? Do you need?
No, I think I'm hearing everybody agree that we'll keep the two plans as a buyout. All right, the next item on the agenda is we'll hit this naming of the lake. We had a request that the lake that's between Flomish and Alabama on the Mirage property, that's going to get turned over to the city at some point, and the developer of the property said, hey, it's a big lake, you want to think about naming it after someone. They recommended Art Vescovi, who was
I thought it was Vince.
I'm sorry,
Vince
Vince
Viscomi.
Viscomi,
Right.
who was, Art's the other guy, Vince Vescovi, who was the original developer of that property, for his insight, his foresight of seeing that property develop. You can do what you want. The property was never developed. In fact, it was used as a borrow pit for many years, including today, with the exception of Primo Court that was built. So we've talked about naming things after people, and this commission is not, there's no consensus yet as to what the commission wants to do. You want to name something, you don't want to name something, and go back to Riverside Drive, where there was a park that somebody wanted to name after John Capers, and that didn't go through. So I leave it up to you. I have no recommendation. I'll do whatever you guys want.
Yeah.
That's what I'm concerned about, was that same thing. And I thought Vince was a great guy and everything else, but I'm afraid that we're gonna get some backlash if we go naming a lake after somebody and we didn't name a park after somebody. It's like,
So we have bricks for it.
So I'll just say right off the bat, I have no objection to naming it Viscomi Lake or whatever have you. I think it's just a name. I think that it'd be great for the family. They'd get a kick out of it. But I'm not jumping up and down to name it. I mean, it's not like the guy did something spectacular for the city of Holly Hill. I would be much more in favor of naming something after John Capers, who actually served the city for a time. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Viscomi Lake or Nothing Lake. So, and do we want to even name the lake at all? I don't think we have to, right? It doesn't need a name, does it?
It doesn't need a name. You can call it the Flomish Street Pond, or it's an
It's not a
identification.
lake. It's not an
It's a
actual
retention
lake.
pond.
It's actually,
It will be a
It is?
it's
retention
actually
pond.
not a retention pond
Yeah, it's a
either.
retention.
It's just a lake, it's just water collected in it, and
So it's a pond.
it's a pond, yes. It
Yeah.
doesn't have fresh inflow of it, it's stormwater runoffs.
Okay.
It's
So it
not-
doesn't technically need a name.
No.
Okay, but I don't know, how are you guys feeling? Who's next? I know John.
I told you
I
how
don't, I don't like to name things after people. Like
That's
I
why I
said.
asked you
I mean,
next.
I talked about that, whatever we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think that's what the bricks are for. If you think someone did something outstanding and you want to memorialize them, put them in our heroes brick pathway.
You know, I mentioned to some of you, we have, and we're going to talk about it later in the meeting, we have Lake Hadley. And I told some of you where that name came from, but some of you still don't know where it came from.
or who was it came from?
Well, it came from Bill Arthur.
No, but I'm saying
That was
the
his
person.
dog. That was his dog's name. You know that.
Yeah.
No, but Lake Hadley, that was named during our centennial year, our 100 year as a city.
She was 100 years old.
And Helen Hadley was 100 years old, living in Bishop's Glen. There you go.
And we put the
A lot of thought went into that.
capsule in the gazebo.
A legend.
Well,
No,
we
I
have,
was there.
No, it's-
we have Shirley Heyman.
My
Shirley Heyman
father-in-law
Park.
was part of that.
Well, that's, you have Holman Park. and you
Shirley
have
Heyman.
Heyman Park.
Yeah.
Lakes tend to be natural occurrence. Ponds are not. So if you want to name a lake, you have to have a lake, natural lake. So, I mean, you can expand the lake and make it into a bigger, but this one was there something in there?
No,
No,
there's a little bit of wetland, but that's
just a pond.
Yeah. How do you feel, Roy?
My favorite lake name is Lake Huron.
That was Lake Lloyd. I like
Great
Lake
Lakes.
Lloyd.
Oh, Lake Lloyd.
Lake Lloyd's yours.
I remember that one too.
Yeah, I
Lake
don't-
Huron, that was
I don't
my favorite,
find
in northern
any-
Michigan.
Yeah.
So no.
I mean,
I don't care about what names like.
I just don't.
You don't care
I don't know
either
if
way.
it's fair that we didn't do it for John. That's just it, you know. I'm afraid that they'll hold it against us. Go, well, you know, we made a suggestion for John Capers and didn't go for it. Well, and believe me, I got an answer to Anthony if he even knows about it. But you know,
I don't know if the boys know about it.
yeah.
I didn't know there was a lake there, Joe told me.
I mean, we
We
could
can
just.
find another
can't
pond
see
for
it.
capers.
No, yeah, I know, yeah. I'm afraid they're gonna put me
So-
on one of the ponds. We don't.
No.
Unfortunately,
No.
yeah, I mean, it's, we'll just say it's
All
not
right.
really, it doesn't
It's dead.
constitute
It's
a lake, it's not designated a lake, so therefore.
Antoine said it's a pond,
Yeah.
Yeah.
not deserving of a name.
Sounds like it's
It's a
dead, Joe.
pond.
All right, I want to just show Roy the lake.
Flemish fish pond.
I mean, that's in your district.
Flemish fish
Foamish.
pond.
Yeah, okay, Foamish pond. That's what we're
No,
gonna
no,
call
you
it.
just said Flemish fish
Oh,
pond.
Yeah.
well, not fish,
Does it
but
have
I
fish in it?
would call
I
it
don't know.
Flemish fish, Flemish pond for maintenance reference, that's all.
Right.
There you go, Roy.
There it is.
Yeah.
Mirage Pond.
It's a nice lake.
A little bit bigger than that.
Yeah,
A lot
now it's
bigger.
got-
Yeah, a
yeah.
lot
Now,
bigger.
Sable
now,
pond.
Oh, I'm
it's,
sorry. This is it.
right, I was gonna
Oh,
say,
there
Joe,
it is, yeah.
looks like, it doesn't look like
It's
it's.
a lot bigger than
rectangular.
That's the dog park.
Yeah.
That's the pond. And this is Primo Court where the townhouses are.
Yeah,
Is it the pond, is there a big one up front?
That's the dog park.
That's the dog park.
This is the pond I'm talking about.
Where they're digging.
and they
Oh,
dug
oh,
up
oh,
everything,
it's not
everything
filled with water,
is-
everything
it's
is-
basically
Oh, okay,
a
yeah,
rectangle
I got
now
you.
with the
I
little
got
bits
you.
going on.
That's why
Like
it's
a big
white, not
square
red.
pond now.
Yeah,
They're done now, right?
Well, we have the holiday discussion that I wanted to talk about.
What else do we have on the agenda? Is that it?
For the workshop?
Yeah.
That's it. So we'll dip into this a little bit if we can get some things talked about.
Yeah.
So I had sent this out to you, and these are some of the things that came out of our staff discussion and comments that some of the commissioners brought up. So let me get past this. I don't need to talk about that yet. Let me get to what involves you directly, and that has to do with primarily, we'll start with the lighting ceremony on Friday night. Years ago, the commissioners used to sit up on the top of the steps and they'd watch the activities that the performers would do. And we had these spotlights that were out on the grass, and originally we had spotlights that were up on this by the commissioners, and they shined down on the performers, and the audience complained they couldn't see. Then we reversed and we put the lights on the grass and we shined them up, and then the commissioners complained that they couldn't see. So then when I got back here, we said, all right, let's not put them on the stairs anymore, let the commissioners just mill around amongst the crowd. So, and that worked well for a little bit, but now that we have the ornaments on the lawn, that we light them up before the events, before the performers, that we can probably put you back up on the steps, and that'll give us the opportunity for the lights to go on, for the people to see who you are as we're making introductions, and so it's up to you. If you want to go back on the steps, you want to stay back in the crowd. It looked a little formal with being up on the steps. Miss Florida was up there with you.
Well, and we could do it like we did this
No,
year
that's
too.
maybe-
I
Yeah,
mean,
we were up on the steps,
it was
right?
just spur of the moment. I was like, hey guys, get up here quick. And
None of us may be there, I guess.
what?
Yeah, that's true, that's true.
That's true. And then they can do whatever they want.
On the steps, off the steps.
I think the steps is nice. I think
I do too.
it's difficult when you announce everyone and kind of wave, and it's still dark.
Right, right.
We- No, nothing's
Don't know
lit,
where they are.
and
Yeah.
you can't see the people, and they can't see you.
Yeah.
It's like,
It's kind of our one event of the year where the commissioners get seen. And I think it's important for the people to see who their district commissioner is. That's why I thought it was good to have you guys up on the steps. So we could do that same thing again. I don't know if you guys want to sit up there. I don't necessarily want to sit up there. I kind of like being out in the audience afterwards. but-
Standing up there, I thought.
That's it.
Standers. Well,
Oh, I see what you're saying now.
well, I'm saying, I mean, maybe we don't do the sitting up there. Maybe just when we go up to do the beginning stuff and introduce, then the commissioners are there.
It's like we did this year.
Right.
It's up to you. I mean, it used to be the commissioners sat up there with their spouses and stayed there during the entire performance.
Oh, I see what you're saying. It'd be nice to sit down.
Yeah. I don't care.
Some of
either
us
way.
can't stand a real long time.
Yeah.
Whatever you do, you all have to do the same thing. You can't have
Yeah.
some sitting and some.
I know, because I don't sit normally, because then I figure it makes me look bad, so then after I get done,
the only thing about
Pretty
sitting
bad.
there, it kind of makes you look special. Like,
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's
Like,
why-
we're
why
Can
you
you
get
just
committed?
have
You get a
chairs?
seat. Why
And
you
you're
get a
Remember
just
how-
seat?
committed, and then
Yeah.
you can't go mill around with your
but
granddaughters.
do you remember
and-
how when
I
your
don't know, I
dad
mean,
was
that's-
mayor and they had chairs down in front?
They always, whenever I was always on the stairs, we were up there.
But I remember chairs being.
No, when your dad was mayor, we had chairs downstairs.
I always
remember
remember
that?
sitting up there. I
Yeah,
remember
'cause
sitting
then-
up
No,
there.
when your dad was mayor,
Years ago,
well,
before you
I,
came.
at
I was
some
gone.
point,
I don't know what.
Yeah.
there were chairs
We had
down
chairs
on
there.
the.
Yeah, we had chairs down.
We
Yeah.
had chairs, and then the idea was for you guys to get out of the chair and mingle with everybody. That was why the chairs went away.
Some of our bodies don't function that
So-
way though.
But
Yeah, but some of us want to go kind
yeah,
of.
that's
if you
really-
want the chairs back, the chairs will come
It's a
back.
decision that we could make as we get closer
Yeah,
to the
okay.
event, so that's fine.
Maybe I'll heal.
But more
from
importantly
accuracy.
is, you know, we're gonna need to budget for certain things next year. A lot of we had no ornaments on the tree. We tried to do something different this year. We wanted to do an all-white Christmas tree, make it kind of more brilliant and stand out. And the tree that we got this year was pretty bare on the bottom. It didn't look too good, so then we kind of scrambled to put some ornaments on it, and a lot of the ornaments are just old and outdated.
Blown fuses.
Yeah, so we either need to, and we still need to convert to LED, because even the lights that are on the hedges are blowing fuses that if we went LED, we wouldn't need to have to worry about that too much. So we need to budget for that. We're investigating lighting up some of the palm trees on US 1. I know that we can absolutely do the two, one at the beginning of the city on each end. I know we have low voltage power for the irrigation on the medians. I don't know how that's supplied. It's got to have a 110 supply to it somewhere.
That's right.
So I don't know if we can pull off of that or not. Sean says there's only low voltage, and I'm like, it's got to be
Come
supplied
at
with
110
something.
and then
Yeah.
jump down.
So
That would be beautiful if we could light those trees.
But yeah, I was
I-
thinking
I-
at least either end, but all of them would be
if we can
great.
do all of them, but we're gonna have to budget for that. And just-
Well, one thing we gotta make sure we do is, we gotta budget good LED lights. What we always
Yeah.
do around here, we go to the Dollar General
That's
and
right.
we buy $3 lights.
Yeah,
And we
they're
get
ready-
disappointed when
Well,
they
what had
don't work.
happened this year,
Yeah.
we always had LED, but this year we didn't budget for LEDs. So when I went to Lowe's, okay, LED boxes are like $20 a
Yeah.
box. So I went with what we had, and you
So
No, I
you
know.
were working in
what
your
you
budget.
got
No,
is
'cause
what
you didn't have a
what
budget.
you saw is
My-
what you got.
no, my
We
point
didn't,
is-
we couldn't budget for,
Yeah.
you
No,
have
my
to
point is
budget
we need
for
to
the
put it in the
LED.
budget so
Yeah,
that we can
budget.
afford to do it.
What he's saying is don't put that pressure on you, put it on us to
Yeah.
budget actual money.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because you guys did have LEDs, but then after a while, they blow
Yeah.
out. And when
Yeah,
they
we
blow
need to-
out, we didn't have any.
Well, step two in the budgeting process, we need to make sure that we have renewal and replacement funds as these things do
Right.
go out, because it's not a
Yeah.
one-time shot.
Right.
Mike,
I noticed
Thing I
that
talked
this year
about
with my
earlier?
house.
or you
Yeah,
want to?
I just threw mine out.
Yeah, let's do
I
it.
think I'm.
Go ahead.
So back to the tree that we put on the front steps. This year, the tree was in pretty rough shape when we got it. They wrap it and they send it to us. There are artificial trees that can be lit outdoors that run anywhere from $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. We can get a 14-foot tree, pre-lit. I think it might be worth the investment, thanks, Mel. I think it might be worth the investment to go ahead and buy a pre-lit tree. We'll know that it's nice. Some cities rent them. South Daytona, for example, they pay over $3,000 to rent a tree.
Wow.
So we have two proposals in the $5,000 and $6,000 range for 14-foot trees.
And
That how
they're
tall
lit
the trees
too?
are?
The Clark's one
This
is the
one's-
one that South Daytona gets every year.
And they're
It's
already
decorated.
pre-lit?
And
It's
that's-
pre-lit and decorated.
That's decorated.
Oh, decorated.
Or we can buy it, it's pre-lit, it's $5,000. The biggest challenge we're gonna have is storing it afterward, which we'll figure out, but, you know, again, we spend a lot of hours
Building.
lighting it, decorating it, going back and fixing lights that are on it, and,
Right.
you know, if we get 5-6 years out of a tree, I think it's a pretty good investment.
How much is the big tree right now? $500?
We pay $300 for a
300?
14-foot.
Wow.
That's a good
Cheaper than I
price.
thought.
Yeah.
So why is it so much? $5,000 seems like a lot of money then.
It's
So
a
it's an outdoor
ginormous
commercial
Outdoor
Pre-lit
pre-lit artificial
commercial.
tree.
Yeah, they actually, South Daytona's, they actually, it comes all decorated, it's in tiers, steel tiers is decorated, they'll come actually within their agreement, the people that they rent it from, they'll set it up, and then it just rolled, it's all rolled out, then they come and they pick it up and
So
But
they
they-
rent it, what
but
about
they
if we buy
pay
it
it.
though? We have to put it
They-
together or they set it up too?
they
No,
do that.
We'll set it up like we do the other stuff. but at
We
least
set it up.
Yeah, we can set it up where they do,
The first time?
You mean
Once
if
it's
we
ours,
rent
the
it'll-
it?
company,
If
if
we
you were
were
to
to
rent
rent
it.
Yeah, I don't wanna.
I don't wanna
Yeah,
rent it. I
but if
think
you buy
we-
it, of course, we would.
You're gonna get at
do it
least
ourselves.
3 years out of the thing.
I'd say at
I think we're
least,
gonna get
yeah.
more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, more than
I
that.
think you'd get more than that.
You talked about doing awards for parade entries. We used to do them years ago. We stopped doing them.
Right.
That's low hanging.
I think we just do like first, second, and third prize for best float and not all these other categories.
Right. Agreed.
Well,
How many floats do we
best
actually get?
decorated.
Best
vehicle.
decorated,
Yeah.
whatever. I
Yeah.
can take
Yeah.
a float, but
Doesn't
best
have to be a
decorated
float.
entry.
Yeah,
Right.
that,
Yeah.
that I agree with.
We're talking about storing the ornaments on the front lawn someplace. The stage, let's talk about the stage for a minute. Some of the staff think that the stage is too small, it's not fitting commissioners. Do we have enough people on there? Do we have too many people on there? To get a bigger stage, so it's a couple $100 more.
Stage at the parade, we got plenty of
Yeah,
stuff.
you gotta let
Only
me know
thing
if you're
that
comfortable
would,
or not.
I think it works fine for us, but I know that we had talked about inviting other elected officials. So,
Well, we talked about inviting them to the pre-parade breakfast, coffee and donuts. Most of them can't stay for our parade because they have other things
Okay.
to run off to. So we could, if somebody's available to stay, that's fine, but a lot of times they make a presentation and go.
I think the stage works fine for us because especially, you know, some of us, we have extended family, but there's chairs down there that they can
Yeah,
sit
they'll
in.
hang up on,
Yeah,
hang out on the
so-
street anyway.
Yeah, like my kid,
Except the little one sitting in our laps, we don't need chairs left, we just need
Well, we
laps.
did create the little
Yeah.
side area for
Yeah.
family.
yeah,
seems
and
to be
that's
working.
worked out great. Like my
Yeah.
mom sits down there.
Yeah, mine
Valerie
too.
usually keeps an eye on her for me.
I take her chips.
And, and then my grandkids will be up and down. They can't figure out where they want to sit.
But it's a good point if we're gonna kind of, maybe we do invite some of the dignitaries to come up, and if so, then we might need 2 more platforms of stage.
Yeah.
If
Widen
we
it up a
see-
little bit. The problem is like, you know, we have all of our families up there. It's an important time. I remember that's what I did as a kid, you know, being my dad in office. It was the funnest thing for me
Right.
ever. I want my kids to experience, but we're up there and we all kind of have to cram, and then
Right.
all of us have to stand
Right.
behind each
And
other.
that's true. Maybe
So,
can you budget
if we
for
could
a
all
larger
have one
one and
room.
then we don't really have to make that
I
decision
think it's
until
$300.
October.
No,
Right.
we don't have to make that. I just
But-
want to know what your thoughts are if you think
I
that.
mean, we send out the invitations and see how many people
And,
respond.
yeah, we'll
make,
see.
Good
make
point.
a call then.
That's what I was gonna say.
Just
Wait
budget
till
for
time.
$500 more or whatever.
Good point. Or 200.
Yeah, whatever it is.
Right. I mean, so those are the main items. The other things are more operational things. You know, I want to add an area on the application for the entry to give a little quick snippet of who they are so that we can announce it as they come down.
Can we put something, and we may already have it, so we may need to reform it somehow on our application, or I don't know how we communicate with the applicants, but we've had it happen to us a couple of years in a row now where we get these little dance groups that would be cute if
They
they
didn't
weren't
dance.
so provocative.
They were PG.
provocative.
They-
Yeah, we already talked about it.
They've been notified that
So,
they're not allowed to do. they're not
I don't
allowed
know
to-
if, because I know Val told me we have something on the application, but they still.
You can't control it. I mean, when they get there, you don't know what they're gonna do.
Except they do it 2 years in a row, then you
Right.
stop. You don't invite
Right,
them
just
back.
don't
you know.
have them back.
That's what's gonna happen.
Okay.
One thing on the budget, if I recall, we have a $600 line item for cleaning and then a $600 band participation fee also.
It's
Oh,
all the
yeah, I
same.
saw that too.
It's the uniform cleaning.
Is
for
it
the
one and the
band.
same? 'Cause it looked like it was two different lines.
Yeah.
I'm looking
it
at
was.
up here. You got uniform cleaning for the band here.
And then go down.
And there was something else.
Oh, band donation.
Yeah, band donation.
That might be a repeat.
That's a repeat.
Okay.
It's a repeat.
How about the concern I had?
Bring it up because I don't remember.
Yeah, well, I just think that Twilight is I mean, it makes us stand out, but this year, I noticed a lot of times, because I'm cruising right by there, that it became a hazard, safety hazard, and I'm not sure we should consider doing something with,
I've had the same
traffic flow,
concern.
the way they go into the wrong entrance. And
What's
well,
then
they're
happening
out
is
in
then they go
Ridgewood, and
backwards.
people
Right
driving
past the
through like,
intersection,
boom.
cars are stopping in the street to make the turn in, and cars coming through don't realize, and they're making a hard left, and
I mean, I'm not
they
sure.
haven't had any accidents yet, but.
Yeah, we
But
have.
Yeah, there were a
There was-
couple.
we
of them.
have.
There
There was
a
one this
motorcycle
year.
accident.
Yeah, there was a couple
Oh, I
accidents.
know that.
Yeah, there was
So
a nice
there's
one
been
there.
maybe we need to
Bad
budget
ones.
some police, or maybe we need to budget for,
Again,
I don't know,
there for weeks.
I mean,
We gotta change
cones.
their traffic. What they do is they
We
go
might be
into
able to cone it.
Yeah, we'll figure
Just-
something
Yeah,
they go into
why-
the second and then they go backwards and then
Yeah.
they're locked in there and they
Instead
can't
of
get out.
going out.
Yeah, so
Why,
I'll have to slow
why
that
can't
down.
we utilize our electronic signboard and some cones? That's gonna
Or
at
something,
least
yeah.
warn them and slow them down some.
Right.
It's not gonna always prevent it, but.
Chief will take care of
We'll
that.
deal with it.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring it up because
Well, you may
I
want to talk to Nelda about changing her flow.
Yeah, that would
We'll
actually.
work
I didn't
with
think
them.
about
Go in
that.
off of the backside and go out
But
on the
no.
road.
No, what happens is they're going south, they go past LPGA, they go past the first entrance, they go to the second entrance, they do the loop, and then they come back to the first entrance, and they can't get out because
Because people are
traffic is
locked.
right there,
Ah.
and it's a giant cluster.
That's not it. They're backed up 2 or 3 cars onto Ridgewood. And people on the right lane are coming down through the light and they're oblivious. The next thing you know, they're right. That's what happened a
Well,
couple
and that's
times.
what
Right.
could happen,
There-
but he's
right.
saying
There's
if
too
you get a
many
better
cars.
flow,
They're
coming
locked in
out,
that, if they
then they'll-
went in the first one and
They're
came
moving
out,
I mean,
quick
if
enough.
they went in that first
they went in
drive.
the first drive and
and
came
came
out.
back out, that would probably work a lot better.
Yeah, we can't have cars in the right hand lane out there.
And the only other thing that came up is we stopped traffic at 8th Street. I had a request to stop traffic at 9th Street, especially because we have a new restaurant there. The problem with stopping at 9th Street is I can only send traffic east. When we stop them at 8th Street, we can send them east and west.
That was my request because the new owner was out of business for the entire length of our parade. No one could get to their restaurant.
If he wants, he can put a sign on the corner that says restaurant open, and you can go up Avondale to get to it, but it's gonna really restrict us from getting people that need to turn west at 8th Street. Now they get to 9th Street and they can't. We're forcing them to go way out of their way to.
They can make 2 lefts.
They couldn't,
They couldn't get into Gina's.
after the parade?
Well, they could. They
During
have to
the
go down
parade.
8th Street.
They'd have to go on 8th Street, go back and come around. through the
Oh,
back.
you mean because they close it on
They
both
close
sides?
it at 8th Street.
Why don't we,
They all
now
have-
that Gina's is there, why don't we go past Gina's? Because that's like a great place to sit on the porch out there and watch the parade go by.
We have to
Oh,
find a-
are we-
we have
oh.
to find a way to terminate the parade.
Just Tanya and I were sitting out there and we're talking about it, we're like, man, this would be great if they just come by here.
Would be nice.
We'll go right on down to Crystal's and we'll.
Hey, didn't we run that route one time?
Yeah,
we
yeah.
used to go
Stage
from-
then,
we
because
used to go-
when it
Yeah.
comes to the stage, people are assuming that that's
That's
really
where,
it.
yeah,
So-
but
But it
also,
seems like there's so many people to the south of us this year.
Yes.
yeah, there were, but why was it ever that we changed it from the other side of the road?
Because it came from
Publix.
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 It came from Marina Grand, where
Mm.
Publix was there, and it came up.
The whole parade staged in public parking lot.
Right.
But why
And then
couldn't
when
we-
Publix was done.
I just wish we
Crazy
could do
idea.
it
Why
on
couldn't you
that,
just stage down the entire Riverside Drive?
We tried that.
We could
had
close
so many
Riverside
dark
Drive.
lanes from the
Yeah.
neighbors.
They tried to do the park,
because
and then Riverside Drive.
You gotta
and-
think about it, you've got these neighborhoods, and there's so many streets to close off, and then people can't get out of their homes, and then who's standing on their front lawn, and then you got all the band people
Well, it's
there.
just cancel it.
All right, Wingo.
No Christmas.
We almost canceled it
I
that year.
think I'm good.
Really?
You guys have-
All right, it's almost
Oh, yeah.
7,
Oh,
so
yeah.
this, without any further objection, this workshop is done.
Yeah?
We were just
Adjourned.
joking about canceling the
Yeah.
parade.
There'll be rumor out there now.